Hey friends, Gene Valentino. We just wrapped up another episode of Gene Valentino's Grassroots Truthcasts. This is what you see above the waist, but below the waist is Mike Lindell's My Slippers, up to 80% off. Hint, hint. But use the promo code, please, GeneV. Enjoy the holidays, enjoy the springtime, enjoy the year ahead of us in 2024. And stay cozy in a cozy slipper from My Slipper.
A lot going on this week. We have a possible, constitutional crisis that's happening right before our very eyes. What's going on? What do you think about all this?
Well, first of all, before I really jump into it, I want to say that this Velvet Hammer is geared up in a way I've never been before. For the first time in the history in my life, we see an invasion at our border that our president refuses to acknowledge, or which results in states having to step up to defend themselves. And 25 states as of yesterday afternoon, there could be one or two more, 25 states as of yesterday afternoon have gotten behind Texas Governor Greg Abbott and thrown their support their way. Even Donald Trump supports the fact that other states should bring resources, if available, to Texas to help support this fight. This is an act of treason, which is impeachable, not to mention the death penalty, to anyone who has denied Texas's right as a state to defend itself. I have a good friend of mine, and she made a comment the other day that I wrote down and said I'd quote her anonymously, where we are frogs in slowly boiling water. And if we're not careful, we're going to have a major problem on our hands. Here, let me run for just a second, Michael. You have got Russia and China and the other adversaries in the world looking at us and giggling because all those distractions they thought we were going to jump into in the Middle East and Israel and Ukraine and so forth, they thought if we spent the crazy money we've spent and more to keep our attention over there, that they'd continue slipping and sliding those illegals in on the southern border. Connect the dots, folks. Don't tell me that the invasion of the southern border is not related to a deep state, national deep state, and international adversaries and wrongdoers complicit in trying to change America from within by changing the electorate. When you've got Biden standing there saying, come on in, free cell phone, free money for a few months, transportation, airline ticket. Oh, by the way, here's the paperwork to become a voter in the Democrat Party. What do you think is going on here? This is so complicit. Can you imagine a Republican doing that? Can you imagine an American trying to go into Austria, Texas, Germany, any of the European states, walking in and expecting a credit card, a cell phone, transportation, and feed me and house me until I figure out what I want to be and where I want to be? This is an abuse based on stupid. It's so stupid that I'm beginning to think it's not stupid at all. I think it's intentional, and I think it's criminal, and I think 25 states plus Texas are now raising up. I hope you guys are part of the team to protect Texas, because it's Texas today, it's your backyard and mine tomorrow.
I like open-minded people, but not so open-minded that your brains fall out. And so, that's kind of where the Democrats are today. Their brains have completely fallen out of their head. And but you made a pretty good point there, Gene, which I took that point and I was thinking about it as you said it. This is so dumb, and it is so against the norms of our country that it can't be by mistake.
That's
I just can't imagine.
That's so clear. Yeah, yes, Michael. It's so wrong. So Governor Abbott, to his credit, issues a proclamation to the world yesterday, the 24th, and he cites two articles of our Constitution. So the first one is Article 4, Section 4, where it says that we, the federal government, promise to protect the states. Well, fine, that's good. Then it goes on, and in Article 1, Article 10, it says that if the government isn't there to help protect you, that above all other laws, you, the states, have a right to protect yourself first. And this is how Governor Abbott is operating. He feels that the federal government, Joe Biden in particular, are not stepping up to protect Texas. So the question is, which is before everybody's eyes right now, will the President of the United States use another authority he has within the article to allow him to seize control of Texas's state guard and federalize them? And that the second half of the question is, would the Texas guard fall in line and allow the feds to federalize Texas guard? It's my opinion they will not. Just like recently we watched in Texas, the the Supreme Court, when they ruled that Biden had the authority to take down the razor wire, the Constantine wire in the on the cartons and the border structures, the no federal agent came in and actually removed that wire. You may have noticed. In fact, the opposite's true. The Supreme Court ruling was silent and allowed Texas to continue putting up more wire. Well, isn't that something? You got the feds trying to take it down. You got the state trying to put it up, and the world's laughing at us again. No, we've got to have a change in government. I used the word kindly before, Michael. We need an enema up there. We really do. We really need to clean out the way authority sits within the legislative branch and within the administrative branches of government. And then some sort of real life history lessons to Amy Coney Barrett, Supreme Court Justice, who was on the wrong side of a 5-4 vote authorizing that Constantine wire to be removed by the president in the first place.
So there's a lot of things to think about here. So let's just go through it, just kind of one by one. Let's just say that the president of the United States decides that, and you already mentioned this, that he wants to nationalize the guard, the Texas Guard. Federalize, I guess, is the word. I'm not sure exactly, but I guess he can give an order asking them to come under full-time control of the United States military. I'm assuming that's how it happens. What if
it's one of the options? Yeah, he can federalize the Texas Guard as presidents have done in the past, but that was usually with the state kind of hoping they do, so that the federal government would pick up the tab on those guys.
Right. Okay. So what if the generals say our troops don't want to be federalized and we're not coming? What happens? That's number one. Number two, what happens when they send federal officers, FBI agents, U.S. Marshals? We're not talking about the military here because this is not a military operation. I think that would be the death knell of Joe Biden if he moved the military in that direction. But what would happen? Would the federal officers go and actually arrest the public safety officers for the state of Texas who are operating under the full color and authority of the state of Texas? Would they actually do it? Number one, I think you will find a lot of defectors in that group that will say, I will not be a part of arresting another law enforcement officer for trying to do his job.
Boy, that's so true.
Yeah,
that's so true.
You know something, Gene? My thoughts on this, Joe Biden has got himself in a box that it doesn't matter which direction he moves, it's a bad move, because if he does nothing, it shows his weakness. If he does something, it shows that he's actually the dictator that they all talk about, which always I love to say this. Rush Limbaugh was the first person that ever said this that made me think about it. Whatever Democrats are accusing Republicans of doing, they're actually doing it themselves, folks. They're actually so
And
this cannot be good for Joe Biden, no matter what happens.
you nailed it again, Michael. Again, this could not get any worse for the Biden administration. Putting his, I'm not a doctor, so putting his medical acuity aside for a minute, he has been mumbling and stumbling worse than ever before in speeches. He clearly has some sort of handicap now that's affecting his ability to govern. If the Democrats keep him in as the presidential candidate, it's only because they recognize Donald Trump is so powerful and so strong. They'd rather have Biden. Think of it this way: let's keep Biden out there, throw him under the bus. Trump will kill him in an election, and as a consequence, the rest of the Democrats who are pulling the strings, the puppeteers, stay protected and ready to strike another day, as opposed to trying to start from scratch with someone who has questionable capabilities, whether it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or Michelle Obama or one or two others. It doesn't matter. They're just not going to take over the delegates and the electoral college process the way Trump has established before. So in parallel, we watch before our very eyes the fact that he has to sit in court this morning before some 91 charges against him, and then disappear out the door to go fight in another campaign somewhere else in the nation. The Nevada caucuses and primaries are coming up soon, followed by the South Carolina primary in about 2.5 weeks.
Well, all I know is that this news event that we are all watching, that is pretty much, I mean, the most important thing that has happened with regard to the governments and how they react or interact with the states. You know, one of the things you have to remember about this, Gene, is that Governor Abbott made this statement. He said, the government of the United States has broken its compact with the state of Texas. And he furthermore said that the state of Texas, he declared as governor, the state of Texas is being invaded. And therefore, we don't have to go by all that other stuff, because in the Constitution, we can still be constitutional and we can move ahead with our plan to stop people from coming into this state. And so, you know, I think that he stands on firm legal ground. I think that this is going to end up pushing Joe Biden back in his chair in the White House, because he really can't do anything about this, because the federal government outside of the U.S. military, we're not talking about the U.S. military, is a paper tiger. They are a paper tiger because everything that they do, I worked in law enforcement. I can tell you, when the feds come to serve a warrant somewhere, and they come and they get local law enforcement to go help them because they don't have the manpower to do it. They can't take over Texas. They don't have the manpower to do it unless they decide to use the military, which would be something that would be, of course, that would take it to a whole different level. But anyway,
well,
thank
26 governors are getting behind the guy right now. And my governor here in Florida, DeSantis, is came out strongly supporting Greg Abbott. We got to get the rest of the Gulf state governors to get on board. But there's a clear message out there to the federal government that there's been some serious wrongs